Well, welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody for being understanding last week while I was out of town. I hated to do that to everybody, but that was a huge opportunity for the nonprofit to be able to go down there and do that show and get the word spread about what we're doing and how we're helping vets with PTSD. So I really appreciate y'all being understanding with that. One quick announcement before we get going here. We will be running a Black Friday sale at Shop Tier 1 starting next week. And that's going to be 40% off everything. So if you're needing anything, it's a good time to stock up while everything's 40% off for that. But with that, we'll go ahead and we will get started with the meeting tonight. So tonight, I'm actually interviewing one of you, Bob Blackburn. Been working with me for a while now, and he's done something that's a little hard to wrap your head around sometimes, and it's a little challenging. But he has took it like a trooper, and I thought it would be beneficial for everybody to kind of hear his story and what we did with his nutrition plan. So, Bob, first of all, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why don't we just kind of start off? Why don't you just kind of introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself and your background, and just let everybody get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, name's Bob Blackburn. I'm a disabled veteran. That's how I got to meet Scott, because he works with veterans. Got hurt when I was in the Air Force, and they gifted me with back surgery at 24 years old, and it's never really ever fully recovered, which a lot of times, back surgeries don't. Probably, I guess about January, I decided I wanted to, this is funny, I wanted to lose 20 pounds to go on a cruise, and we're over 70. We're down over 70 so far. So that ship was a little more buoyant when I was on it.
All right. So let's get a little bit in. I will go ahead and I will skip the joke about what went wrong with your chair and how you hurt your back in the Air Force. And we'll go right into the next question then.
Chair.
So was it just the cruise coming up and you wanted to lose a little, or was there anything else going on? Why did you decide all of a sudden that you had to make a change?
Honestly, it started off with just wanting to lose a little weight for the cruise. But once I got started and I realized it wasn't nearly as hard as I thought it was, or that it would be, then I just got more excited. Like, well, how far could I take this? And then I'm remarried later in life. I'm 53 with a 10-year-old, right? And so then you start thinking like, hey, I'd like to be here to walk her down the aisle. I was 318 at that point. So it's things like that. You start thinking about your longevity. And honestly, it really did just start with, I want to lose 20 pounds before we go on this cruise. And then from there, it just escalated. And then once I started getting a little more endurance and felt better, I had more confidence to want to try and do more things.
Okay, so me and you were not working together when you first started.
No.
You had made progress, good progress, but when we got hooked up, you had kind of stalled out.
Sure.
So won't you just kind of share with everybody? Okay, so just so everybody knows, kind of hard to tell on camera, but Bob's a big dude. He's like 6'1". And won't you just kind of fill everybody in on what you had been doing, and once you hit that plateau, what the recommendation was for what you needed to do next?
Well, the recommendation from the beginning was a 1,200 calorie diet. There was, as long as 100 grams of protein, and that was pretty much all they ever told me. And that was at a weight loss clinic. And needless to say, knowing what I know now, I know that was terrible advice, but I did that for 3 or 4 months. And needless to say, I lost a bunch of weight, but it wasn't until, I met you and got that human body scan that I realized how much muscle mass I was losing too. So I wasn't just losing weight, I was losing muscle too. which is obviously unhealthy. But I was stalled out for 3 or 4 months, and at that point, everybody's like, well, you could cut more calories. When you're 6'1", and even back then, I was 260 and 1,200 calories, boy, that's nothing. I was already starving.
And just so everybody knows, when you get pretty deep into a cut, I mean, obviously, everybody's heard calories in, calories out. And there's a little bit of truth to that, but it's a whole lot more complicated than that. And when you're looking at where you're at and what your calories are, the general rule of thumb I like to go by is you take your weight times 10, and that should be your rock bottom. That should be your floor. You never go below that. Once you go below that, now you're running the risk of losing muscle and not just losing fat. And also, if your metabolism is somewhat healthy when you start that, you're going to lose weight too fast. And when you're losing it too fast, how to tell that is you take 2% of your weight. And if you're losing more than 2% a week, you're going too fast. And that's going to lead to the muscle loss too. So kind of the conundrum that I had when Bob first come to me is we're sitting here and he's got his calories down to, was 1,400 at the time, right?
14, yeah. I raised up to 1,400, yeah.
Yep. He'd gone up to 1,400 calories, and he was like, okay, what have I got to do? And obviously, we increased the protein, and we built some habits first and got him going good on the habits and making sure he's getting enough protein in, adjusted the workouts a little bit, and got that locked in. And then I hit you with the big one that you've kind of got to wrap your head around. So
yeah,
what did we go to at that point, Bob?
Well, we started talking about raising calories. And I wasn't happy about that at all. I was like, man, I'm so close to shedding off the rest of this. Man, I don't want to start raising calories now. And it wasn't easy to convince me, but I also knew that you know a hell of a lot more about this than I do. It doesn't make any sense for me to pay you and not listen, right? So I was like, I'll do it. I think that's exactly what I said. I'll do it. I think it might have been the same tone. Fine, I'll do it.
Yep, exactly
at all. I haven't eaten nothing in 6 months. You're telling me to eat. I'm like, this seems so backwards. Something's wrong.
So let's give everybody kind of an idea here. You were at 1,400 calories when we started the reverse diet.
Mm-hmm.
And as of today, where are you at, buddy?
Today's my first day of 3,100.
3,100, more than double what you were eating.
Yeah.
Now, answer the question everybody's going to ask. How much weight have you gained?
So since we've started, and I think we started at 24 or 26. I've not put on any weight. I've lost a total of 1 pound.
Yep.
I literally the first 2 weeks I went up like 1.5 pounds. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I knew it. I'll wait till I tell him I'm done with this, boss. I'm gonna keep doing it. And you said, just wait. Your body's going to adjust, and it's going to start falling off. You'll see. I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to see. I'm going to do it. You wait and see. Oh yeah. And then all of a sudden, I come down this, got on the scale with my wife Amy, and I was like, I just lost 2 pounds. Last week, eating 2,900, I literally went down another pound. So I haven't gained any weight. I've literally lost weight through this. And that's 2 weeks of 2,900 calories a day, 7 days a week.
Exactly.
That's mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
maybe not to you, but to me, it's like, how do you eat all that? Like, I didn't eat for 6 months, and now I'm eating like an animal and losing weight.
I explained it to a client the other day. I believe it was Saturday. We were having a discussion about this topic, and okay, it's time we got to look at a reverse diet. Not quite as bad as you were. I mean, your floor should have been somewhere around 2,300 to 2,400 calories based on where you are. And you were well below that. Mm-hmm. As the person I was talking to, you do the math on that weight times 10, and they are right at the bottom. So they're not quite as deep into it as you were. But the way I explained it to them is, imagine you're driving down the road and you can see a building in the distance, and that's your destination. That's where you're trying to get to. And then you realize that the road that you're on is a dead end road. And you can see the building, but there's no way to get there. At that point, basically, you've got two options. You can give up on getting to your destination because you can't get there from here, or you can get out and you can build the road that's going to get you from where you are to the place you're trying to get to. Is it going to take a little bit of time? Yes. But are you going to be able to get to your destination? Absolutely. So that's basically where we were. I knew you were not going to lose significant weight while we went through this, but you couldn't get any lower than you were. You're fixed to start having health issues.
No, remember, I was pretty much crashed out metabolism wise. I'm like, man, I don't have any more energy. I'm tired. I can't, I'm exhausted all the time. And you were waiting me out because it had to be my idea. And you finally just said, you need to eat. You need to eat. You said you've run your metabolism. You know the body it metabolizes, it adjusts. You've been here how long? You know this is where you are. The only way to fix it is we have to move from here. And that's when I come to terms with there is nothing else to try. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whether I think it's right or wrong, there was no other option because I couldn't continue to do what I was doing. I was completely gassed. I had nothing left in the tank. And I'd been on a stall for 3 months. I had lost maybe a pound in 3 months. And I wish I'd have done it 3 months earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
So just kind of fill everybody in on how this works. So how did your body respond at first to the increased food?
Initially, like I said, I put on like a pound or so, but my energy levels increased. I didn't get nearly as tired when I was exercising. Because we were talking about this. I would have to drag myself in there to work out because I was gassed. I had nothing left. But it makes sense, right? There was no fuel in the tank. So once I started that, I realized that I wasn't nearly as tired on my workouts. Initially, like I said, I put on a pound or two, but like your body metabolizes, it figures out what's going on and it starts using it. Because I started losing weight right after that.
So just kind of wrap everybody's head around what happens. So your body is the best machine in the world at adapting. And regardless of what you're doing, your body is constantly wanting to go to homeostasis. It is wanting everything to stay the same. It just resists change every chance you get. So I don't want this to come across. You hear terms like you've destroyed your metabolism, you've crashed your metabolism, you've damaged your metabolism. That's really not what has happened at all. Your metabolism is doing exactly what you have trained it to do. And the whole idea of a reverse diet is now you are training your body to work the other way. You're training your body that we're going to feed it just a little bit more. And this goes in very small steps. We don't shoot up 2,000 calories overnight, and we add just a little bit to it. We watch how you're feeling. We watch the numbers. We get data, and then we make calculated decisions on, okay, now it's time to bump it up just a little bit more. And those real small increases actually trains your metabolism to operate on more calories. So now, long-term wise, I want to get Bob up to about 3,300 calories a week. So we're going to do 2 weeks at 3,100, and then we're going to bump it up one more time and let the body get used to that. But here's the crazy thing that happens. This is kind of setting the table. This isn't the overall goal here. The overall goal is we'll then be able to turn around where you were eating 1,400 calories and not making any progress at all. Once we get to where we want to be, we can actually cut back to about 2,800 calories And now your body's in a deficit because it's used to the 3,300. You're in a 500 calorie deficit, and the weight will start falling off again. But you're losing weight eating twice as much as you were when you were stalled out.
When you stalled out, right? How crazy is that? How nice is that? That's
There's
what I
now
said on the phone today. I said the hardest thing to wrap everyone, for all of us, to wrap our head around is we understand that our metabolism will adjust to 1,400, right? But for some reason, we can't process that we can train it to go the other way. Right? I don't know why we can't think that way, because I couldn't think that way. I was like, no, I'm going to get fat again. I don't want to be fat again. And now I'm eating this, and every Friday I get on a scale, and it's like a magic trick. I'm just like, I don't even understand it, but okay. See you next Friday.
Hey, if you don't mind, share with everybody what your friend told you this weekend.
Oh gosh, there was quite a few different. So we always get. Are you talking about when we were together for the UFC? Because there was
watching the UFC fight.
One where is that the one where I told you he said, "How the hell am I losing all that weight, eating all that?" Yeah.
Yep.
There were some other things said, so I was trying to remember what to let you in on, because we were drinking. I'm not gonna lie, but he was like, "How are you eating that much and still losing weight?" And because he's like, "What are you eating?" And I said, like 2,900 calories. He said, "And you're still losing weight?" I don't understand. And I'm like, I don't. Go give me another Fairlife, Jake, will you? Like, I just constantly. It's even to the point now where it helps when my wife here. She's on board. I mean, we'll sit down at dinner. She's like, "How many calories you got to go?" Because let me tell you, that's probably the hardest part about all this is when you're clean, eating 2,900 calories is a lot.
And I want to cover that. I want to be very specific about that. We've got you up to 3,100 calories, but tell everybody what you're eating.
So an average day for me is, I do have a cup of coffee in the morning. I put collagen in it, so I'm getting protein there. I have protein oatmeal. I eat the Okio's protein yogurt. I have at least 2 of the Fairlife shakes a day. Chicken, pork, steak, vegetables. Just making sure it's all as close as I can get to a whole food. And that's what we were laughing about that, because people are like, I can't get 100 grams of protein a day. And I'm like, I have 100 by breakfast. You can do anything you want to do. You just have to want to do it. I sent him a picture last night, and he said, don't share that. I had 330 grams of protein yesterday. And I'm like, it's there. It's just, your yogurt's 18, or your yogurt's 15, your oatmeal's 18, the milkshakes are 30, the protein shakes, it's there. You're eating steak, it's 20, 30. It's there. You just have to want to do it.
Yeah, and the key to that is you're doing it still eating quote unquote healthy food.
Yes.
You're eating whole foods.
Whole foods.
If you go into this process and you're looking at it and all you're looking at is the calories, okay, I'm up to 3,100 calories. I don't feel like messing with it today, so let's go ahead and make a dozen cookies and stop by the donut shop. That's not going to work.
No.
You can't just be looking at the calories. You still have to pay attention to the macros. You still have to pay attention to what whole food you're able to eat, in the good stuff that you're bringing in. Because, you hear this term with computers all the time, but it goes even more so with your body. Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to.
I think once you start clean eating, it's hard to go back to eat other things. Because even if you have a weak moment and you're like, ooh, and cookies, I love cookies. And we'll have people over and I'll see a cookie and I'll go over and I'm like, oh, all right, I'm just have one. It doesn't even taste the same to me anymore. And then I just feel terrible. Not like guilty. I just feel like I've put bad food in my body. You can just tell. It's not worth it anymore. I'm just like, nah, it's all right. I don't want that.
So I'm kind of curious about being real close to coming out the back end of this process.
Yeah.
Is your mindset toward food changed at all?
I like the idea that I'm able to eat and maintain, a healthy lifestyle. I'm not used to that. Normally when I eat terrible and get fat and fatter and fatter and fatter. Now it's eating healthy and exercising. And so it's nice because now I don't feel like I have to avoid food and drink, 2 gallons of water a day to keep from being hungry.
So what about food guilt or fear of foods or all or nothing way of thinking? Has that kind of changed for you too through this process?
Probably the fear of food is different, right? Because now it's when you're eating 1,400 calories, you're terrified to eat anything. And now I just know better. Now that you've helped me through this and coached me and trained me. It's like, oh, wait a minute, man, I can go in here and and have I had good sized portions of vegetables and steak. And who doesn't want to eat steak? Who doesn't want to have a nice serving of pork chop or whatever? You can go in and clean eat and not feel guilty. And so that's definitely been different. Instead of fearing it, instead of going, oh no, I can't have that.
So another thing here too, I mean, this isn't a secret. Everybody that coach, y'all know this. We start off with very small adjustments, small things that are guaranteed wins to build the habits and get going. So very, very seldom, it's very unique circumstances that right out of the box, I tell everybody, start tracking your calories. Here's your macros for the day. It's not something that we go to. It's too hard. It's too big of a switch going from 0 to 60 like that. But one thing I do want everybody to understand, that if you reach this point where a reverse diet is going to be extremely beneficial for you, unfortunately, you're going to have to track, because now we're talking about very small increments being added back in. You have to be precise with it. So when it was all said and done, you've been doing all this tracking for a while now. Is it a pain, or is that just another thing that you get used to?
It's just part of the process. I don't even think about it. I would love to say the minute I eat something, I log it in. I may not, like sitting at dinner and enjoying the moment with my wife or whatever. And then afterwards go, oh yeah, I need to log that. But it's just part of the process. And then, I'm a numbers person anyway. So I want to see it because I want to know where I'm at, and that's the other thing. I always want to make sure I'm done by, 7:30, 8 o'clock. So it never fails. As the clock's ticking, I'm like, oh, I got 400 calories left. Oh, I got 320 calories left. Oh, I got 200 calories left. I'm always looking at it, but it's just part of the process. It wasn't nearly as big as a nuisance as I thought it would be.
And one of the big keys there, and it's something, I mean, I know what you eat, so it's easy for me to go here. The more boring you are, the easier it is. And what I mean by that is, when you eat the same thing for breakfast every day, you eat the same thing for lunch every day, or maybe, and I'm not even saying you have to be that boring. I'm not saying that breakfast is always yogurt, oats, this. Okay, that's my breakfast. But say that you have 2 or 3 menu options so you can switch it up, but you know the exact numbers for each of those 2 or 3. It makes the whole tracking part of it immensely easier, because you don't have to stop and look up each individual little thing and see how that affected it. Because I know when I was in y'all, I tracked every ounce of everything for about 2.5 years. And it really gets to the point to where you're not even looking at the label. You're not weighing anything. You know that. And okay, but I ate that. It goes in. So the more boring you make it, the easier it is.
Yeah.
And there's little tricks like that. Meal prepping. Make sure that you make your lunches for the whole week. Then you sit there on Sunday when you're making your lunches for the whole week and go, okay, this is what's in this one. This is what's in that one. That makes it easier. There's all kind of little tricks like that you can do to make this entire tracking process easier. So you're coming out the back end of this now. You were a little hesitant about it to begin with.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, other than the scale in the mirror, what are some wins that you've got after coming out the back end of this process?
Obviously, the scale is the big one, just because of the confidence, right? And the confidence is probably the biggest thing I would say, because I was so terrified to do this because I had put so much time and effort to get to where I was, that the whole thought of reversing this was just diabolical. I was like, no, it's not going to work. So really, the confidence of doing that, and then the energy levels, right? Because now you're putting more fuel into the tank, so I don't get nearly as tired when I'm working out. That's always been a plus, because I've had to. I mean, we talk about this. I'm a tasker. You give me a task, I have to complete it. So I'll work out even if I'm dragging in there. But now I'm got the radio going. I'm bouncing around. My energy levels are way higher, and it makes sense because I've got way more calories in the system. So, yeah.
What about brain fog, clarity? Have you noticed an increase in that?
So I didn't until you mentioned it. So it was one of those where it just kind of just happened, and things I've been more focused and alert, and never made the connection until you said something. It was one of those where you're like, oh my gosh, you're right. No, you're right. I'm way more focused, but I didn't notice it until you said that. I was like, that's crazy.
And diet fatigue is a real thing. When you stay in a cut for extended periods of time, it wears on you. And I'm not just talking about physically. It weighs on you mentally too.
Yeah, I was crashed. Remember? I mean, I was like, I'm so tired, and that's it. And you, God love you, you waited me out because I was stubborn about it, and you finally said, well, if you want to listen to me, this is what we need to do. But I was tanked. I was done.
So if
you're 1 to 10, I was running on 2 on a battery. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And we had this discussion the other day. Anybody that's listened to me for any amount of time knows I think the world of the guys over at Mind Pump. Super guys. Got to meet up with them in Vegas back in June. But I told Bob the other day, we were talking about this, about coming to the end of it, and how do you know when you're done? And I always kind of defer back to their advice, because they have this thing at the end of all their shows where people call in and they ask questions. And a question that they get a lot is, okay, I've been reverse dieting for 6 months. How do I know when to stop? And I love it because they don't give you a number. They don't give you a length of time. They don't nothing. Their answer is always, when you feel like you can't eat one more thing, you cannot possibly add anything else to your calories for the day, you're in the perfect place to come out of it and go back into a deficit.
Yeah.
And I ask you, and you're just about there.
I'm close, man. I said, I feel like I don't even have to do curls anymore. I'm just shoving food in my face every hour or so. It's like, oh, crazy.
But I mean, really, you think about it, how great is it going to be to go into where you're losing weight almost effortlessly because you're still eating 2,800 calories a day?
It's I can't. How great is that? When you stop and think about it, I mean, if you're already trying to lose weight and you've started this the wrong way, and you've starved yourself and punished yourself not eating, and then you stop and think, you mean I could be eating steak and green beans and whatever, and I'm going to lose weight? So it's funny. One of my friends asked me. They said, because I was a big guy, and I'm working out now, and I'm starting to see the definition coming out and benefits and stuff. And they're like, what started all this? The exercising part. And I said, my coach, he said, if you had more muscle, you could eat more. And I said, my inner fat kid said, sign me up. That's it. If I work out, I can eat more. Shit, I'm in. And here we are. I'm eating 3,100 calories a day and losing weight.
Yep.
Proof is in the pudding. Don't eat.
There's another guy that I've followed for years, had a few conversations with. He's real cool too, but the guy down in Florida, his name's Paul Rivella. And what he does is he actually trains competitors, the people that get up on stage. He specializes in women that do the bikini competitions and all this type of stuff. And I've heard him talk about this even back before I even understood it. And I did it myself because, yes, everybody, just so you know, I've been through 2 reverse diets myself. And, you know, you hear him talk about it. If you followed bodybuilding and that type of stuff at all, you hear about these guys and they get up on stage and they're down to 1,100 calories a day and they're like 24 hours away from needing to go to the emergency room, completely emaciated. You know, you get down to 5% body fat, you are pushing the door on essential body fat. It is not healthy. But then I would listen to him talk about these competitors that he coaches, and he's talking about women who are stepping on stage and in the final stages of their prep were at 2,700 calories a day and feeling good and, you know, just happy to be there. And you really have to stop and think, why is everybody doing it the hard way? You know, if that's how you're going to make your money, if that's what you're doing for a living, everybody's always heard work smarter, not harder. These guys are working harder and they don't have to.
That's crazy to think about, right? I mean, women eating 2,600 calories and coming out chiseled like that. That just goes to show you that, you know, you can train your metabolism to do this. And that's hard to wrap your head around, but it works.
I mean, we have to train ourselves with the small wins and the good habits. And lots of times train ourselves to realize that we can do this because so many people started so many diets and did it the wrong way and failed, not because their willpower was too low, not because of anything else other than the fact of you just can't do it that way. Your body's going to repel, you know, it's going to rebel. It's going to fight back against it. So lots of times we have to train ourselves mentally that, yes, this is possible. And we work out and we train the muscles to grow. That's all this is just another little bit of training that we're doing is we're training our metabolism to work in the way that we want it to work. You know, I've told clients several times, I don't want you to refer to this as a diet because one of these days in the not too near future, Bob's going to finally hit that golden number that he's been working for about a year now. And when he gets there, there's no need of him paying me anymore because now he's been through how to bring it off. He's been through how to reverse diet. He knows what he needs to eat. He knows how the workouts go. When you hire a coach, if your coach is telling, you know, you get these things from your coach, well, you know, 6 years from now, we'll be looking back at it. No, you had better not need your coach 6 years from now. It had better be a short time in your life where you learn what you need to learn to be able to do it on your own. And part of that process is everybody knows these people that have lost 60, 70 pounds on some fad diet or another in their life. And then they hit that number and party time, I did it. And they go right back to the way they used to eat and they end up gaining even more weight back. And they bounce right back to it. But once you understand this reverse diet process and you know how to implement it, now when you hit that number that you've been chasing and you feel good and you're healthy, you don't pull out the streamers and start having the party because you hit that number. Your next step is, okay, so next week I'm going to add 150 to 200 calories in. I'm going to let it sit there for about 2 weeks. Then I'm going to, if everything's going right, I'm going to bump it up a little bit more. And the ultimate goal is to get to that number you want to get to. And then understand how to do this, not only to build your metabolism back up so that you can cut again, like we've been talking about tonight. We've been talking about that because that's Bob's next step. But when you finally get to that number, you understand how this reverse diet works and you slowly reverse diet out of that deficit, you'll realize it's 6 months later you're eating 3,400 calories a day, and you're still sitting at that number that you've been aiming for. That's the difference between life change and, oh, okay, well, once upon a time I lost 60 pounds. That is the key to the whole thing. So we're going to open it up here in just a minute for people to ask questions if they have any. But what would you say to somebody kind of stuck in a chronic dieting cycle who might be scared to try this? Have you got any advice for them?
First and foremost, I would say, please do it. But honestly, what I would say is, you've done whatever you've done to get you to where you are. You're stuck. You're not moving for a reason, right? Trust the process. Even when I started this, I thought to myself, worst case scenario, he's wrong, and I'll tell him he's wrong. I'm doing it, right? Trust the process. It 100% works, and just give it a chance. I wish I could explain how excited I am to be able to eat the way that I'm eating, and then get on the scale, and it's like, I've lost a pound. And then I get on the scale next week, I'm like, I lost another pound. And I get on the scale next week, I'm like, I lost another pound, baby. What's going on over here? So literally the joke now between us is like, this week I'm at 3,100. I'm like, will I lose another pound, or will I become stationary? Will I plateau, or will I just stay the same? And that's crazy when you're thinking about it, especially when you've been through what I've been through. So I would definitely try this, because I can tell you that it works, and like Scott said, you've done it, and there's a lot of information out there that proves that it works. I would trust the process, and I promise you'll be happier later, because you're eating, feeling better, and that was the craziest part, is I lost weight through it. I'm like, how do you eat and lose weight? That's everything we've always been told, right?
And that's really not surprising at all. I mean,
there's
tons of people, and there are people. It kind of goes both ways. There are people that actually lose weight while they're doing this. There's other people that the scale don't move, but their size changes. They'll go down in pant size. The shirts are, they'll get smaller shirts, because you're putting all this time and effort into lifting weights to build the muscle and to recomp your body. Well, go back to some of the, everybody that I coach, I explain it right out of the beginning. If I hand you 5 Legos and tell you, build me a castle, it's not going to look like a castle when you snap those 5 Legos together. But if I hand you 200 and say, build me a castle, now we know what we're looking at. Your body works the same way. And if you're in the gym and you're working out and you're lifting weights and you're trying to build this muscle, but you're not giving it the building blocks it needs to do that, people trim up by giving themselves more calories.
I didn't think about it till you just said that. You saw your shake. We just bought myself 4 new pair of pants. I just dropped from 38s to 36s. We just bought those last week.
Over the amount of time that you've been reverse dieting.
Yeah. Yep. Well, she said 2 of them were 34s. So, but that was during, I didn't think about that until you said it, right? It's like, so even though I only lost 1 pound, I've come down another pant size.
And that's the goal.
Yeah.
I've said it a million times. I would be fine with weighing 268 again if I could do it at 12% body fat.
Right.
So just giving yourself those calories, retraining your metabolism to do what you wanted to do. I used to explain, people had asked me, what kind of diet do you put everybody on? We don't do diets. It's metabolic adjustments. That's what we do. That's how you have to look at it. You're just adjusting your metabolism to do what you want it to do, instead of just sitting there being along for the ride. So as we kind of wrap up the interview part here, buddy.
Yeah.
Anything I didn't cover? Anything else you want to say to anybody? Any
No.
advice?
No, you covered everything. That would, but my advice would be do not be afraid of this process. You know, it just works. I wish I'd have started it earlier. And like we joked about this as before we came on, my wife is in earshot and she is where I was, and I am begging her to do this. And she's like, I just don't know. And I'm like, you're watching me work. It's working. Come on. I'm getting stink eye, but I'm trying to talk her into it. So I understand it's a difficult decision because it's hard to process. I'm going to eat more. I'm going to put on weight. I'm here to tell you it's not. You're not going to put on weight. You're going to lose weight. You're going to shrink your body size. I forgot about the pants until you said that. Now you said something. I'm like, I just had spent $200 on pants.
Which is the downside of body recomp. Trust me. My closet when I started had size 38 pants and double extra large shirts in it. And now it's size 30 pants and medium shirts. And I have all new clothes. So yes, there is a downside to this, and that is you're going to have to spend some money on clothes.
I was in a 42. I was at 42 pants. I'm in a 36 and a couple pair of 34s.
So Bob, thank you so much for sharing this with everybody. And thanks for trusting me.
No, yeah, absolutely. Scott and I talk a lot. I reach out to him a lot, and he's always takes my calls, always there to answer questions, and I've learned a lot. And that's one. If I've learned anything, is when you speak, I listen and I trust you, even if I think you're wrong, which he wasn't. I still listen.
Yeah, but you would have enjoyed sticking it in my face that I was wrong way too much.
I would have danced all over that. But my dad used to say, I thought I was wrong once and I was only mistaken.
There you go.
Good. I thought for sure, but no, I trust you, and I bring a lot of information to you, and you're always great about responding. And I'm working on a couple people now trying to get them to sign up. I was telling you about even though my son's future, I guess, grandmother-in-law or whatever, she's looking into peptides and getting healthy. I'm like, you got to get in on one of these meetings and meet Scott.
Well, I appreciate that, but that's only half the equation. You got to have somebody that's willing to put the work in, and you have definitely put the work in. So that ain't all on me. That's being a good client too. That's being able to get in there and do the hard stuff. Now, if I can just get you to quit using that sore elbow for a while.
It's so sore.
Hey, you know what? Eating more calories he bought in on. My elbow hurt. I can't really even bend it. So I was doing curls. That I stopped doing curls.
I was like, I got like part of range of motion. He's like, would you just stop? I'm like, all right. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Imagine that. It hurts. Don't use it. Yeah, I had a football coach. He used to pull this people all the time. They'd hurt a knee or something, and he'd grab a hold of it, and he's like, okay, does it hurt when I do this? Well, yeah, then don't let me do it. Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Well, with that, we will open up the chat and the Q&A. You can use whichever one you want to use. If you've got questions for me, if you've got questions for Bob, throw them in there, and we will do our best to answer them. But while we're waiting on the first ones to pop in there, like I said, don't miss out on the Black Friday sale. We're going to run everything at 40% off, which will give us some of the best prices on the internet. If you shop around at all, you know that's the truth for everything that we've got in stock. So, and then also, while we're still waiting, nobody's got anything popped in there yet. There are gift cards available on the website. So with the holidays coming up, if you have family members or friends that are on the fence and don't know if the coach is really right for them, You can always get a gift card, give it to them for Christmas. Let them try it out for a month or two on you, and trying to get them bought in and ready to go. So that is an option too.
No, I really like that, because I think majority of people, if they gave it a shot at all, they would go, oh no, this would work for me. I think a lot of people are more nervous in the beginning, but once you meet your coach, start hearing other people's stories, it makes it gives you a lot more confidence. So I like that. I didn't know about the gift cards. That's great.
Yeah, and one thing too, I mean, we spent a lot of time tonight talking about people hitting rock bottom and didn't have an option but to raise their calories. Even if you're not at rock bottom, we talked about how much easier it was going to be for you being able to eat 2,800 calories and still losing weight. Even if you're not at rock bottom, it's good to come out and do a little bit of a reverse diet and bring those up. The Matador study is proof of that, where they followed people for a while. They had one group that was in a calorie deficit the entire time, another group that would be in a calorie deficit for 2 weeks. Then they'd eat at maintenance for 2 weeks. They'd go back into the deficit for 2 weeks. And a year later, when they come back, the group that took the diet breaks actually had kept the weight off more than the group that had been in a deficit the entire time. So long term, it's really good for you, even if you're not at rock bottom. And I'm not saying do it for a long time. You don't have to do it for as long as Bob did it. Do 4 weeks, do 6 weeks. Bring those calories up, build that metabolism back up, and then take full advantage of being able to lose fat at higher calories than you are right now. It's always a good thing to throw in there.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have had to do this as long as if I wasn't already so low when we started, which I don't mind. But when you're painting a picture for somebody that says, well, maybe I don't want to do it that long, I said, well, remember, I was 1,500 calories before he finally said, if you'll listen to me. And so, we've been at this for a while. And again, that's why I said, it's just crazy when you stop and go, I'm eating so much more food and I'm losing weight. Like, this is, it's hard to wrap your head around.
It is, but it's cool.
Yeah. Well, you said, because I didn't want to do it. And he's like, I really want you to go to 33. I was just like, okay. At this point, all I heard was, I get to keep eating. Sign me up. You want to go to 35? Let's go.
I mean, we could, but
I don't think we need to, but yeah.
You're gonna hit that point that the boys on Mind Pump talk about, where it's like, okay, I'm done. I cannot eat anymore.
Yeah, every day I'll be like Thanksgiving. I'm just sick of it. Like, all right, I'm done.
The highest I ever got personally doing a reverse diet, I actually pushed mine to 3,800 one time.
Man, that's a lot when you're clean eating.
And yeah, I mean, I get a little sick in my stomach just thinking about it.
I'm at 31 today, and it was a chore. You're watching them, you're eating, and you're like, oh, it's been 2 hours. I haven't eaten anything. Hold on. Let me get some in.
Yeah, because it's definitely when you do that, you do not want to set yourself up to where it's 7:30 at night and you're 800 calories behind.
Yeah, and then you're forcing things down and you're miserable. No. Just take your time, space it out. Eat little protein snacks throughout the day. You'll get it. It's not as hard as it sounds.
Well, we have not got any questions that have popped in.
David, you got any questions?
Well,
I just figured I had to, since I saw him sitting there.
Yeah, well, I know David well enough. No, he's probably multitasking.
Yeah,
working with stuff with the nonprofit while he's listening.
I just think you guys are really good friends, so I had to throw that in.
He's very good at getting stuff done while I'm talking. He has an innate ability to tune me out and to take care of what needs. It's kind of like being married.
I was going to say, it sounds like when you're married. That's great.
All right. Well, with that, Bob, again, thank you so much for sharing that with everybody. And good job, bud.
Thank you.
Now we just set the table to absolutely kill it.
Yeah, we should honestly, we should do a follow-up in a month or so when this is all over, and then talk about the final part of it when we do the cut.
Absolutely.
Post some results.
Absolutely.
I won't be nearly as happy because I won't be eating as much. I'm just kidding.
You'll still be eating.
I'll
You'll still be
still
eating enough though.
Yeah, we eat 28. That was a lot.